Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Jaya Thoda Nitai Mayapur Tashi Jaya Thoda Nitai Jaya Mayapur Tashi
Jaya Kodanitai Mayapur Sake, Kodanitai Jaya Mayapur Sake.
Shri Thoda Mayapur Tashi Ki
Jai,
Shri Tulsinath Maharaj Ki
Jai,
Shri Giridhari Lal Ki
Jai,
Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagwan Ki
Jai,
Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Nitai Gaur Premanandi.
Haribo.
Reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, uniting two words. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Chapter entitled, I have done my part. On the last day of July, the governor of Tamil Nadu, Shri Prabhudas Patwari, who was visiting Vrindavan, paid a short visit to Srila Prabhupada. The governor could only stay half an hour, but Srila Prabhupada spoke energetically with him the entire time. When Srila Prabhupada explained his condition of health, the governor at once invited Srila Prabhupada to come to Madras and stay at the Raj Bhavan, governor's mansion, where he said the best doctors in the whole of South Asia were available. But Prabhupada, rather than prolong the discussion about his body, used his bodily condition as an example to preach the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. After all, he said, so long we have got this body, then Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, birth, death, old age and disease, we have to accept. This is the statement of Bhagavad Gita. So the human endeavor should be to stop this repetition of birth and death. When Vishwamitra Maharaj went to see King Dashratha, the king inquired, Punarjanma Chayaye, you are a great saintly person trying to conquer over birth and death. Is your process going on nicely? Prabhupada then used the example of his bodily condition in a different way to illustrate the concept of Varnashrama Dharma. He compared the Brahmanas to the head, the Kshatriyas to the arms, the Vaishyas to the belly, and the Shudras to the legs. If they are all in good condition, then the health is alright, said Prabhupada. Now at the present moment I am suffering because my belly department is not working. So we cannot neglect any department. There must be all departments and they must be cooperative and healthy. This movement is meant for that purpose. It is the duty of government to give us protection. Srila Prabhupada mentioned the devotees' recent difficulties in Mayapur and asked for protection. We will do it, no doubt, Governor Patwari replied. I am meeting the Prime Minister tomorrow and we are going to discuss that matter. The governor acknowledged that the reports in the newspaper were distorted. He asserted that Madras had a good atmosphere for religious work, and he mentioned several swamis who were doing good work. Of one, he said, he is making good propaganda about Gita everywhere. The many persons making propaganda, said Prabhupada frankly. But if you don't mind my saying so, all these men are in ignorance of what is the real meaning of Gita. Bhagavad Gita, he said, should be understood as it is, and it should be adopted especially by the Rajrishis or government leaders. Again, the government said how nice it would be if Prabhupada would come to Madras. Prabhupada seemed to consider it seriously and thanked the governor. Finally, Prabhupada requested help in getting the permanent residency in India for some of his disciples. They will never do any harm, he said. They will never take part in politics. I know it, said the governor, I know it. So kindly try to help, said Prabhupada. Later, when Prabhupada mentioned he was 50% decided to go to Madras, he and his servants began discussing the merits of travel to Madras and other places in the world. Although he could not move even a few feet without assistance, if Krishna desired, he was willing to travel. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki. Reading from Planetary Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 17, Text 3. I'll do the Sanskrit myself and we can join in translation and purport. Tata sapta rishayastat prabhava abhikyanayam nanu tapasa atyantika siddhir etavati bhagavati sarvatmani vasudeve अनुप्रत भक्ति योग लाभे नेगोपेक्षियर्थम गतयो मुक्तिम इवागताम मुमुक्षवा इव सबहुमानम अद्यापि जात जूते उद्वेयहन्ति. Translation. The seven great sages Marichi, Vasishta, Atri, and so on, reside on planets beneath Dhruvaloka. Well aware of the influence of the water of the Ganges, to this day, they keep Ganges water on the tufts of hair on their heads. They have concluded that this is the ultimate wealth, the perfection of all austerities, and the best means of prosecuting transcendental life. Having obtained uninterrupted devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they neglect all other beneficial processes like religion, economic development, sense gratification, and even merging into the Supreme. Just as Jnanis think that merging into the existence of the Lord is the highest truth, these seven exalted personalities accept devotional service as the perfection of life. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Transcendentalists are divided into two primary groups, the Nirvisheshavadis or impersonalists and the Bhaktas or devotees. The impersonalists do not accept spiritual varieties of life. They want to merge in the existence of the Supreme Lord in his Brahman feature, the Brahma Jyoti. The devotees, however, desire to take part in the transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. In the upper planetary systems, the topmost planet is Dhruvaloka, and beneath Dhruvaloka are the 7 planets occupied by the great sages, beginning with Marichi, Vasishtha, and Atri. All these sages regard devotional service as the highest perfection of life. Therefore, they all carry the holy water of the Ganges on their heads. This verse proves that for one who has achieved the platform of pure devotional service, nothing else is important, even so-called liberation, Kevalya. Srila Sridhar Swami states that only by achieving pure devotional service of the Lord can one give up all other engagements as insignificant. Prabodhanand Saraswati confirms his statement as follows: Kevalam narkayate tridasa pura akasha pushpayate durdan nitendriya kala sarpa patali prokhata damsutrayate Vishwam Purna Sukhayate Vidhi Mahendrandis Chakitayate Yat Karunaya Kataksha Vaibhavatam Tam Gauram Evastana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has perfectly enunciated and broadcast the process of Bhakti Yoga. Consequently, for one who has taken shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the highest perfection of the Mayavadis, Kevalya, or becoming one with the Supreme, is considered hellish, to say nothing of the Karmi's aspiration to be promoted to the heavenly planets. Devotees consider such goals to be worthless phantasmagoria. There are also yogis who try to control their senses, but they can never succeed without coming to the stage of devotional service. The senses are compared to poisonous snakes, but the senses of a Bhakta engaged in the service of the Lord are like snakes with their poisonous fangs removed. The yogi tries to suppress his senses, but even great mystics like Vishwamitra fail in the attempt. Vishwamitra was conquered by his senses when he was captivated by Menaka during his meditation. She later gave birth to Sakuntala. The wisest persons in the world, therefore, are the Bhakti yogis, as Lord Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita 647. योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां सेमे युक्ततमो मत. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. वैराग्य विद्या निज भक्ति योग शिक्षार्थमेक पुरुष पुराना श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य शरीरधारी कृपा बुद्धि तमः प्रपद्ये. मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारणम्. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining this morning, and we go through our study of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 17 of 5th canto, chapter entitled The Descent of the River Ganges. Text 3, I will just go through the translation once again myself. The 7 great sages, Marichi, Vasishtha, Atri, and so on, reside on planets beneath Dhruvaloka. Well aware of the influence of the water of the Ganges, to this day they keep Ganges water on the tufts of hair on their heads. They have concluded that this is the ultimate wealth, the perfection of all austerities, and the best means of prosecuting transcendental life. Having obtained uninterrupted devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they neglect all other beneficial processes like religion, economic development, sense gratification, and even merging into the Supreme. Just as Jnanis think that merging into the existence of the Lord is the highest truth, these seven exalted personalities accept devotional service as the perfection of life. Wow. Another beautiful translation and purport. Each and every translation and purport in Srimad Bhagavatam is so enlivening, and it is all centered or catered for our ultimate good, to invoke the real hidden dormant love for Lord Krishna within our heart. So nicely it says in here that the seven sages, even till this day, they keep Ganges water on the tufts of hair of their heads. This is the position of a devotee, or this is how actually a devotee respects, like Ganges emanating from the lotus feet of Lord Himself. So, how do we care, value, and respect the presence of a devotee in our life, and how they are showing their love towards the devotee? And this is how devotional service, devotional love for Krishna, or the blessings for Krishna will fructify when we, in association with devotees, how we express our sentiment towards devotees, our gratefulness towards devotees. Without devotee association, I would be nowhere. We would be nowhere without devotee association. So, as it says in translation, well aware of the influence of the water of the Ganges. So, well aware of the potency, the influence, the kindness, the serving nature, and the relationship, the position of the Ganges, of the water of Ganges. To this day, they keep Ganges water on the tufts of hair on their heads. So it is not like, okay, we respect devotee association for, say, a certain number of years in our life. And now that, okay, I am well aware, or I am aware of the devotional principles or devotional etiquettes and services, or the philosophy, overall philosophy of Krishna consciousness and overall practice of Krishna consciousness, that doesn't mean that I do not respect like devotee association now. Or, okay, I get to see or choose, okay, he's an upstart in devotional service and I've been practicing for a good number of certain years, 5, 10, whatever. So, well, that devotee association is as such not really an association or devotee association for me. Now, devotional service is to build up our mood. It is all to build up our mood gradually, slowly, steadily, and on a daily basis to build up our mood. Again, the material principles, more or less, we can utilize all our material assets, strengths, and say workings and perhaps principles in the use in devotional service. Like in material principles, material working, so when someone starts a business, say, so he knows, okay, at the end of the year, I will close my accounts and I will assess my balance sheet and see how much profit, loss, what expenses and all, and I will report it. So, for say the first year of his business, he knows, okay, this is the starting year of my business. So let me get my feet grounded, nicely settle down in the business, and let me create some more awareness and presence. People know, let me build a relationship, let me have a customer base. And from there on, next year, third year, fourth, and on, I can be more settled and I can take in more. So likewise, in our devotional service, like it is on a daily basis, meant to build up our mood. Slowly, steadily, whatever we do, we build up our mood. And then one day we pray that we transcend from the level of ruchi, from the level of having deep interest in the holy name, in the process of practicing devotional service, in serving devotees, in serving the Lordships. We go from that to attachment. We transcend ourselves and we situate perfectly ourselves at the level of attachment. And that attachment should be, attachment means something which is deep, which is immovable, which is unshakable or say unflinching. That's like the foundation of attachment from which mind cannot be deviated or should not be deviated. So somehow we have to pray that how could we actually come up to the level of ruchi and transcend ruchi and pray for more and more blessings, more and more mercy, more and more sustenance of a good, healthy mood to appreciate, to understand, even more than appreciate, understand, acknowledge, more than that, practice Krishna consciousness with genuine consciousness, with genuine awareness. And surely we all like coming into Krishna consciousness. Initial days of our practice in Krishna consciousness is so striking. If we look into each and every devotee's journey, the initial days or some days and all, and when they realize the potency of the holy name, of prasadam, of associating with devotees, of listening to kirtan, participating in classes, then we can do a proper before and after check in our life. As in, there are many situations or there are many activities in life wherein, say, someone wants to lose weight. Okay, so before I was weighing this many kilos, and now I'm weighing less amount of kilos. I'm weighing these many kilos. Same. So how I meant the transition before and after, what I went through, and I feel much better. So this practice of Krishna consciousness, of coming across the principles of Krishna consciousness, then it opens up a world of, to begin with, an alternate option or an alternate reality, which in actually is the real reality, or the real option, or the real life thing. And when we spend some time, when we give some time in the practice of devotional service, then we can weigh and check the before and after, the experiences it brings along in our life. So this is the encouragement that one should give one's good, fair shot in practicing devotional service, and shouldn't get really disheartened or unencouraged. And this is where devotee association, with good devotee association, good encouragement and inspiration will come about. And then we can pray to come ourselves situate ourselves at the level of ruchi. That yes, I'm interested, firmly interested in the practice of devotional service. So now I practice out of genuine, voluntary, real interest. Waking up early in the morning. When one is at the level of ruchi, he doesn't need to be told much. Okay, it's Mangalarti time. Wake up, Prabhu. Let's go for Mangalarti. Or it's Japa time. It's class time. Or it's service time. When one is at the level of ruchi. So we have to pray to come to this level of ruchi and situate ourselves firmly. And then transcend ruchi. Develop attachment and pray for more and more finer vision and finer refinement of our consciousness. And in that consciousness, we will come to an understanding of humility and the value of the presence of devotees in our life, value of the presence of Srimad Bhagavatam in our life, value of holy name in our life, the mercy of holy name in our life. then it is Kirtan will become our heart and soul. Bhagavatam will become our life and soul. And we have to pray to come to this realization that Srimad Bhagavatam is not different from Krishna. And in that state, how could we come to this state when we appreciate the value of devotees in our life? Just as in here it mentions that those rishis, they keep Ganges water on the tufts of hair on their heads. So continuous. The more appraisal of devotee presence in our life is increased, the more we can experience the blessings and mercy of Krishna. Or the more detachment, vairagya will appear in our life. And the more knowledge will appear in our life. Because in devotee association only we get the not only about the process of devotional service, but all the nitty-gritties of devotional service. Actually, in good devotional association and by the grace and the mercy of spiritual master, one is very nicely prepared. Very nicely prepared, as in a child is playing, say, since after waking up in the morning. But what does mother do? Mom, she bathes the child, does his brush the teeth of the child, bathes him, and nicely dresses him and gets him ready. So, in good devotee association and by the grace and mercy of spiritual master, one is prepared in life to be handed over for the service of the divine couple or developing in that subservient mood, not in directly trying to reach out to Krishna or in direct service, but developing this mood of das dasanudas, in this subservient mood of serving the divine Lordship. And will experience this is the ultimate wealth, the perfection of all austerities, and the best means of prosecuting transcendental life. As it says, Aradito yadi hari tapasa tatakim. Naradito yadi hari tapasa tatakim. Yo antar bahir yadi hari tapasa tatakim. Nanu antar bahir yadi hari tapasa tatakim. So if our worshipful deity, Aradito yadi hari, if our worshipful deity is Shri Shikarajita Mayapur Sashi, Lord Shri Krishna, then where is that austerity? For a mother, there is no austerity as such in taking care of a child. But leaving aside the soul of our existence, the source of our existence, the core of our existence, Krishna, and if we engage in activities, whatever activities, then it is a hard struggle for life. Then it is a sheer hard struggle for existence. Huge austerity. And the irony is, towards the end, hardly anything substantial, or even in the process, hardly any substantial comes out of it. And Srimad Bhagavatam gives us this message. What is our ultimate wealth? To begin with, satisfaction. People may have cars, houses, properties, holidays, so much thing. But if one is constantly haunted by anxiety, or if one is constantly, or even not constantly, say regularly, to give some concession, if not constantly, say regularly, in good intervals, haunted by some level of anxiety in terms of maintenance, worry of losing out, then that's not the real wealth. If something is real, it has to be permanent, not temporary. It has to be holding its ground. It has to be substantial. How can it be real if it is going out? Can I now say, okay, I'm a child now? I'm not in this child body. Everything is like going out. So if it's really going out, then it's not the real identity. And this is why devotees like Bhagavatam opens up to this real knowledge that something for be real, it has to be eternal. Real knowledge, real pleasure. And the practice of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna conscious life, is for eternity. So our ultimate wealth is based on satisfaction, and that is when we are satisfied within ourselves, within our heart, then we can practice devotional service in a final true sense. Na sochati, na kamshati. Otherwise, we would be pulled by hankering and lamentation, or living in past or future. But when we, and this is why Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he first, throughout, initially, he gives this understanding or knowledge or teaching or instruction that be equipoised in happiness and distress. Be equipoised. Again and again repeated. So something again and again repeated by Lord Krishna, it has to have value. And why again and again repeated? Because we are the products of Kali Yuga. In one say instruction or in one sense, in one go, we cannot understand it. And this is very much needed, because if we are not satisfied, we cannot really transcend, we cannot really go more fine in our practice of devotional service. And then actually it's completely paradoxical or opposite, like satisfaction. One practicing devotional service will be satisfied with whatever situation or circumstances based on his karmic reaction. But at the same time, a devotee is the most unsatisfied person. There is constantly atripti, unsatisfaction. Why? Because he is hankering for the divine darshan of the Lordship. He is hankering for the more and more service. He is hankering for more and more devotee association. The more one chants, the more one should feel actually, oh, I'm hardly chanting. Oh, I'm missing out on so much of nectar sin. This is why Rupa Goswami prays that, oh Lord, please why don't you give me millions and trillions of tongues, and millions and trillions and zillions of ears? Because one tongue and 2 ears are not sufficient. The mood of a pure devotee, he wants to chant and glorify the holy names of Krishna, is always unsatisfied. Because Krishna is always ever evolving. So Krishna is every trick up his sleeve to please his devotees, to give pure joy to his devotees. Life is meant for full experience, and we should take on this journey of board of this experience as well, of experiencing this realm or this message of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Bhagavatam again begins with kicking out all the Ketava Dharma, all the cheating religions. As in it says, one practicing devotional service in good association, then you would calm down with this prayers for say pious religious activity or some economic development which would bring about some sense gratification, and ultimately going towards liberation. Actually, a sincere soul would understand that life is too short. We cannot wait for that ultimately moment. And there is no ultimate moment. It is never return. It won't never come in writing or in a dream. Okay, fine, you have 20 years, you can enjoy, and then ultimately come into devotional service or practice it very ultimately. And it is seen if we sort of engage ourselves in 20 years, say, in not very proper devotional service, then later on it might be a difficult as well to take it on more, to really in the true sense. And by taking into devotional service, actually we are benefiting ourselves. So in that sense, one should become greedy as well and see this is for one's highest self-interest, taking into devotional service. This is the mood of the sages in here, as it says in and practicing devotional service. The thought of liberation becomes truly very hellish. Uh, and yeah, exalted devotees have prayed that mukti or liberation, she's like my maid servant, but not interested in it. So, practicing devotional service, two things are sure to come throughout. There will be tests and temptations. They will come along, and they are there to help us grow only, to help us mature only for our benefit. Actually, if we develop this vision, we'll get to understand that whatever comes in our life is there to take us closer to Krishna, is to help us grow. Krishna is, people say Krishna is our God, is say fair and just. Actually, a devotee experiences Krishna is not just good and fair or fair and just. He's more than fair. He's giving us lots of concession, and he's very kind and merciful. So even if something uneven comes to our life, if we have that good consciousness or that understanding or good devotee association, then we can experience it is a direct mercy of Krishna. And then the thought, even the thought of liberation becomes very hellish or becomes very negligible. No devotee aspires or thinks of it. Who would want to aspire for liberation after hearing the glories of Krishna by authorized devotees from Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahma Samhita? If one knows the pastimes of Krishna, the glories of Krishna, and if one engages in oneself in the service of Krishna, so this is why in the transcendental realm, the highest joy is in serving. There's no highest joy in that. And even in this world, we see what? That the leaders of the world, the authorities or leaders of this world, what are they called? Prime Minister. And minister meaning someone who is serving or who is there to serve. And he's the prime minister, means he's the topmost servant, the prime servant, the main servant, the biggest servant. Say. And then there are other ministers. There's hardly anyone, we wouldn't find anyone in this world who is not serving. It's just question is who are we serving? Are we serving our own senses, our ego, our desires, or are we trying to serve the desire of Krishna? Or are we trying to serve the senses of Krishna? So Bhagavatam teaches us that real joy is in service and serving the Lordship. When we serve the Lordship, then we feel a lot of peace within ourselves, a lot of calmness, a sense of security, well-being. And from there, we can escalate, we can take on, we can take a leap or jump or flight from there. This is the mission of Mahaprabhu to and kick out all the cheating religions of this dharma, artha, kam, moksha. To begin with, one may be in whatever state, one may be in whatever ignorance. This is why, like, janmate jayate shudra. So to begin with, like, we all are in ignorance or darkness, or as we pray, Om Agyanti Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya. So to begin with is one in darkness. So that is fine. That much of say concession is okay, fine. But then one should not live in darkness, or one should not leave one's body also in ignorance. We all are born in darkness or ignorance. And by coming in association of devotees, practicing devotional service, our wise scruples will get ignited. And then we'll try to actually inquire and ask. It's just God for our, as Prabhupada says, He's not our order supplier, or it's just God for our order supplier fulfilling our needs. I mean, this idea is also a bit not very lucrative or not of a higher standards in the sense, oh God, please help me out in this and give me that. And what do? We try to enjoy with our mates and friends and family in this world, independent of God. And we understand, okay, God has got some power or he has got some capacity or authority. So if one is intelligent, then one should actually say, okay, if he has got this power, capacity, and intelligence and authority, then the enjoyment he would be relishing, which would be more from much higher value and taste. So Prabhupada says like the best thing to ask from God is to ask God himself. There's no in merging with God, it's no good. Rather, if we engage in devotional service, then we could actually become an associate of Krishna. We could be serving directly someone who is serving, who is a direct associate of Krishna. And that is where the real charm or the real magic is. Okay, on this point, maybe any question or comment, please?
So, Laura's posted something.
Sure.
Hare Krishna, there really is nothing like devotee association. No other relationships come close. When I think about life before I met the devotees, I remember how different, how empty and unmeaningful life was. My obeisances to all.
Yeah. And Krishna consciousness is in the mood, is in the heart, is in the consciousness. So our ornament is these sentiments, these emotions. What regard do we carry for devotees of Krishna? And if we keep on this mood, this attitude, this thought, this sentiment in our consciousness and build up our life, we will be free. We have to free ourselves from any Vaishnava aparad, all Vaishnava aparad, and we have to ask for forgiveness. But just freeing ourselves from Vaishnava aparad or for asking for forgiveness doesn't complete the equation same. It doesn't complete the circle same. Next is to serve the Vaishnavas, serve the devotees, to serve the holy name. And as it says, like to begin with, this is a physical world, and we engage or deal in this physical world of cause and effect, and we engage and deal ourselves through our mind and senses. So, practicing devotional service, and this is the beauty of devotional service and verses, if I may say, verses, someone aspiring on the path of liberation, where there is pitfall at every step, like in Prabhupada it mentioned Vishwamitra, a great sage, a great Muni Vishwamitra, he got disturbed in his meditation, he got agitated in his meditation by Menaka. And so he had to put it on hold or stop sin. Because the senses are so strong, they can carry away the mind of any sane person. They are that strong and venomous. But what happens when practicing devotional service? This is the beauty or the kindness of Krishna. We have, because of our samskars, we have this tendency towards, say, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, or engaging in sense gratification activities. But when we engage ourselves in chanting the holy names of Krishna, honoring the prasadam of Krishna, engaging one or all of our senses to whatever extent in practicing devotional service, then simultaneously all our senses are getting calmed down, or the poison from those senses are taken away. The poison are taken away. And then what happens? A snake from whose fangs, say, the poison is removed, it is the nature or tendency of a snake to hiss, but the poison won't be there. So likewise, in beginning of our stage in devotional service, because of our sanskars and conditioned life, We have this tendency to shift our neck or just turn around and go for some sense gratification activities. But we would still be controlled, provided in good association and within the, say, boundary of dharma or religion. And gradually, Bhagavatam never encourages, we cannot afford to situate or fix ourselves at a particular level. We have to evolve continuously, we have to excel. And then gradually we will evolve and excel. That even though those temptations or those things appear, they do not tempt us. And we would see everything and everyone in relationship with Krishna. That this is for Krishna's enjoyment. This male body person is for Krishna's enjoyment, female body person is for Krishna's enjoyment. This car, this property, everything is for Krishna's enjoyment. And that is the real liberation. When we see who it belongs to, then we are liberated. We are free from this headache as well. Unnecessarily, we are carrying so much of weight of attachments in our head because we think ourselves as the owner or the proprietor or controller, which means that we have to maintain. And all this brings in a lot of headache. But actually, if we genuinely understand everything and everyone belongs to Krishna, and if we try to do the real role reversal, let Krishna be the supreme enjoyer, which Krishna is actually. And if I try to be a servant or be in this subservient mood, then I can relish more. Thing is, in this life, there's so many negative connotations. The word servant gives a negative connotation. In society and all, it's not appealing. Or like someone in uni, say someone meets devotees. Where are you going? Oh, I'm going to classes. Okay, what do you hear? What do you like? Well, life is in serving, life is meant to serve, and servants of the Lord are so pure and they relish life. So you are going to uni to study, to make a career, not to become a servant. I mean, the servant word, and there's so many such things which bring about a negative connotation in this world. Why? Because this world is living in a perverted reflection of the real world, the spiritual world. And this slope comes to my mind, and maybe with that I will try to give you peace. Or so, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, this beautiful shloka which says, प्रेम धन बिना मोरा दरिद्र जीवन दास करी वेतन मोर देव प्रेम धन. So, prema dhan bina mora daridra jivana. Without the love of Krishna, my life is like useless, hopeless. Or it's very living like in a pauper state. It's a very poor condition. So this is the all prayer, ultimate prayer, day in, day out. That please Krishna accept me as your servant. And in remuneration, please give me your service. Give me your service. That is the whole prayer. So if we actually come up to this stage of our prayers in our life, then whatever short-term troubles, miseries, or conflicts we are experiencing in life, surely we know that everything is temporary and not everlasting. Even those who are not in some formal sense of practicing spiritual life, but we all understand, okay, this is short term, we'll go through, this too shall pass and all. So, if something is really that short term problem as well, then why bother God asking for a short term problem or for a short term solution? So, the real prayer is if we could actually ask for this, for more and more service, then short term, long term, everything will be very smoothly, nicely, sweetly resolved. Why? Because Krishna is the sweetest personality, and this is his nature. Whatever he does it sweetly, he does it lovingly, or a devotee would experience that everything gets very sweetly settled and resolved. Thank you very much for your patient listening and encouragement. On this note, maybe I'll give you peace and we'll leave it here. Transcendentalists Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi
Jai.